Hi, Paul Nashwadi coming to you live from the show floor at KubeCon EU 2026 in Amsterdam. I'm here in the Vultur booth with Kevin. Kevin, how you doing?
Great to see you again, Paul.
Yeah, great to have you on. So this is an exciting event. It's been crazy. This is day two. There's been a lot of traffic. We're right at the beginning of day two. Yesterday was an explosive amount of people here. We had 13,000 of our closest friends.
Yep.
Right, so there's a lot of people up. So let's talk about Vultur. What's happening here?
Well, we're so excited to be here because, we've long attended CNCF events. We're alternative hyperscaler, 14-year operating history, 33 data center regions, the best price for performance in the cloud compute industry. And we're also specialists in AI infrastructure. And so what you started to see last year at KubeCon, starting first in North America, was a realization that cloud native engineers needed to start reskilling and retooling so they could start building and deploying new AI native applications. And really what you're seeing here at KubeCon is a real call to arms, where everyone is now understanding how they can really start deploying enterprise inference at scale, and what does it take to do that. So we're super excited to be here because we're really excited to talk to all of the platform engineers so that they can work with all members of the ILCS team so they can start thinking through how they can build safe, secure, governed infrastructure for all downstream developers to build and extend all of their existing applications to put AI at the core.
Well, Kevin, you appropriately touched on a couple of key things, especially being here in Europe. You touched on governance, compliance, regulations, the new EU CRA that's coming out in effect, definitely a top of mind for a lot of developers. And you're a developer-centric platform.
100%.
So that's really acceleration for them. I love the fact that you tied in the AI conversation into the developers there, because we're seeing in our research that 70 to 90% of code is being written by AI for the developers. Again, as a productivity tool, not as a replacement by any means.
Exactly. So there's a couple of things there. So in the early days of AI infrastructure, you had a lot of neoclouds and you had a lot of AI native startups with some capital burn, and everyone was just trying to stand up clusters as quickly as possible. It's all about the accessibility and availability of GPUs to train models and so on and so forth. But when you're looking at the enterprise, things are very, very different, because security, compliance, data privacy, data residency, data sovereignty comes into play. And if you're building and deploying an enterprise application that has AI at the core, an AI native application, you have to remember that you need to deploy that application in the UK. You need to deploy it in Germany. You need to deploy it in France. And the data that you're marshaling in France, particularly like in healthcare, financial services, cannot leave France. There can be no processing from external services to France for that data, right? And so what we specialize here in Vultur is enabling developers everywhere, when they're building and deploying their AI native applications, to just click and go and stand up all of the infrastructure they need, all of the compute infrastructure that the compute infrastructure doesn't go away. You still have your application code, you still have an experience, all of the AI infrastructure, and then attach all of the data from third-party storage, our own storage, and then ensure the residency, to ensure the compliance, ensure the sovereignty for all regions in which they're operating. It's actually tricky to do, and it's something that we make simple and easy for the developer. And to one more point, you talk about developers are creating a whole bunch of code, right? They're all automating it. This is where platform engineering comes into play, which is platform engineering teams need to pre-build all of the skills that can be consumed by developers' clause. So when they're building and deploying application, they're basically deploying with a governed set of infrastructure and networking requirements in mind.
Yeah, so you put the guardrails in place, but I think the one thing that you didn't say that I'm going to add to your comment is the acceleration of the SDLC for these applications is happening at a
which is great
pace,
which is wonderful.
It is, but what you offer is a self-service model for platform engineering, for developers, so they don't have to have put in the days of putting in a help desk ticket and waiting 3 days for something to happen are long since gone.
100%. 100%.
So I think this is amazing. Well, let's pivot a little bit. So you have partnerships that you have now. So there was a partnership with SUSE.
Yes.
What's that all about?
So we're so excited about that. Here at KubeCon, we like to think everyone is a partner in some way, shape, or form because they're all part of the new stack for developers everywhere to basically build the future. But the partnership with SUSE is really important for us because, we are helping enterprises industrialize the rollout of new AI native applications. So this means helping them with the single-click deployment Rancher Prime, so they can have industrialized managed Kubernetes infrastructure to support their actual end user experience. And then of course, Rancher AI. So we can actually, have a safe, secure, governed Kubernetes platform for hosting and inferring all of your models. And of course, with SUSE, we just philosophically are so aligned. We're all about open source. We're all about open collaboration and open community development, putting, governance, security, and compliance at the core. So beyond just the technology stack that's so perfectly aligned, and now that we enable with single-click deployment, it's the philosophy and the vision between two companies they can't be more tightly aligned.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that knowing SUSE, knowing what you do, and it is a 1 + 1 = 3 scenario. So I'm very excited for you and for them as well. So top 3 things. What are the top 3 things to take away for the audience?
Well, the top 3 things I would say is that in the past, platform engineering, relatively new function, adoption within the enterprise, not yet at 100%. The top thing is that AI infrastructure and the deployment of AI native applications means platform engineering is not an option. Platform engineering is absolutely mandatory for success. That's rule number 1. Takeaway number 2 is that it is time to unleash developer productivity. It's all about the developer experience. We need to empower developers everywhere to work closely with the business as consultants, to fulfill their requirements, reduce backlog, and automate a lot of their coding and QA tasks using AI. But they need to do it on known, good, approved skill sets that are built by and deployed by the platform engineering team, working with server engineers, network engineers, cloud engineers on the back end, right? All of that should be hidden from the front of the developers. They should just tell their cloud to build and go, but it's all known, good, and safe. And I think the third takeaway is if there was ever power in open source, open community, open collaboration, it is actually now at this moment. The innovation that you're seeing with all of the providers here, the innovation that you're seeing in all of the models, more than ever, it's about an open stack. It's a new stack, but it's an open stack. And it's so exciting to be part of this moment. And I think everyone should take this moment as an opportunity to learn new things and try new things and experiment, because this is going to be an exciting age of compute.
Kevin, the top 3 things are really they're spot on, right? They really do align with our research. We see that generalists are being hired over specialists. In fact, 67% of respondents in our 2025 research said that. So that's really cool. I think the compliance, regulations, and governance is important, especially when you're looking at the citizen developers or the builders. That's really helpful. But really, I couldn't be more in alignment to your top 3 points. Kevin, always great to have you.
Always great to see you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Paul Nasrallah coming to you live from the show floor at KubeCon EU 2026.